Hey, if you are looking at getting a life insurance policy, or maybe your mom, dad, or loved one is getting a life insurance policy, you got to look out and make sure they're not getting defrauded. What I'm about to share with you today is a sad, sad story from Florida about an older gentleman who trusted the wrong person and actually ended up not having coverage to pay for final expenses when he absolutely needed it. And my hope is today you'll see kind of the lesson learned, what to look out for, and what you need in order to set up your life insurance or burial insurance effectively to avoid, as much as possible, the most common forms of fraud. My name is David Duford. I own buylifeinsuranceforburial.com. We help people across the nation with their life and burial insurance needs. If you're looking for a quote on a policy, we can do it real quick in 10 minutes or less. Just call 888-626-0439. Again, that's 888-626-0439. Let's go ahead and listen to this, and I'm going to pop in and kind of give you some context as we start to hear more.
The pain is still so raw for the family of James Bird.
It was bad enough we lost our dad, but to go through this was it's horrible.
Now one step closer to justice after learning 63-year-old Neville Guy Reed is behind bars.
The unnecessary trauma that you added to our lives.
Reed arrested and accused of posing as a life insurance agent, pocketing premiums for 9 years after losing his license back in 2014.
So Mr. Reed allegedly was taking the money from Mr. Bird here, shown on the screen, on a monthly basis for him paying his burial insurance. You may be doing this, or you may know of people who've done this, maybe your parents or grandparents, where they pay the insurance man on a regular basis when they stop by the house to take care of the life insurance premium. This is nowadays a very risky thing to do, to give cash over, even a money order, a check to even somebody who says they're an insurance agent versus setting up payment directly with the carrier is inviting all sorts of fraud to happen to you. And that's exactly what happened. And kind of interestingly enough, Mr. Reed here, the alleged fraudster, actually did lose his license. It was suspended for 12 months in the state of Florida in September 2014. There's no explanation why, but in my experience as somebody who owns an insurance agency and deals with agents, most likely, well, I don't know exactly what happened, but what I've seen happen, even with suspensions, the agents are doing really bad things like forging signatures, taking life insurance coverage out on people who aren't presently there, and just get a slap on the wrist to just turn around in a couple of months and do it again. I had an agent who was with me that wrote a policy on a lady, said she was in perfect health, but she was actually in hospice at a facility dying. And all he got was a termination from his company and a 4-month suspension and $3,000 fine, which means after he paid the fine, he could come back and start scamming people like you again. You know, why these Department of Insurances are so lax is beyond me. But with that said, especially with the elderly or seniors who want to trust people and are old-fashioned, and do this kind of thing. So let's continue here, and I'm going to give you a couple of tips on what you can do to avoid this fraud and kind of what to look for if it's happening.
One of those alleged victims, Bird.
He was our best friend. Our daddy was our best friend.
Bird died of a heart attack in October 2023. When his family tried to pay for his burial, their nightmare became a reality.
The funeral home called to say that the insurance information that was given to us is not active.
The family, shocked. They say they uncovered 71 pages of receipts between 2012 and 2023, proving their father had been paying Neville Guy Reed for what he thought.
So what we're seeing here on the screen when they were flipping through those pages are receipts that were left at the time of sale. That's how they're supposed to be left, meaning when you're in the home with your prospect or after you get your policy mail, typically you get one of these conditional receipts. And basically it says, if you read it, your coverage will be in effect as applied for, assuming no other health issues come up. And you only usually leave that when they actually leave a check. But what this alleged fraudster did is he just copied a bunch of versions of this, filled it out, and told the client, who is trustworthy, right, and trusting of this, suspended agent who didn't even have a license at this point, and just treated it as if it was an actual receipt. And what's even crazier is that they have him on camera. Check this
was
out.
a policy with Occidental Life Insurance. They say
there's
this
dude
is
right
video
there.
proof of their dad making the
There's
payments.
Mr. Bird
The
walking out.
last payment was 10 days before our father passed away. He came out on October 4th, 2023.
So you may be wondering, why is this Mr. Bird even doing this to begin with? Well, the old days used to have debit agents who would come around every month, probably not you, but probably your parents or grandparents, to collect the insurance premium before bank drafts became common. And so Mr. Bird's probably on the older side, and so didn't think twice about this, especially with this man that he actually trusted and known for 9+ years that he's been his insurance man. And unfortunately, this day and age, you cannot trust this process. There are just bad actors out there. So what can you do? What is the recommendation? My recommendation is to set up a bank draft. And what this does is at the time that you apply for coverage, typically your agent is going to ask you, where do you want to set up a monthly recurring payment? And that payment is going towards the insurance company. It's not going towards the agent, it's going towards the insurance company. So all of that information on your bank or savings or card is housed and kept confidential and secured at the level of the insurance company. And it's on that basis they can recur a draft to collect your premium, so you're not the victim of fraud, or probably more common, people actually end up in the hospital, and if they're paying their premium like this, if they're not around to pay it, there is a risk that they could end up losing the coverage because they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time at the hospital. So the moral of the story here, guys, is unfortunately we live in a day of age where you got to watch your back, you got to have a little healthy paranoia. And my advice is, if you're taking life insurance out or burial insurance on yourself or a loved one, make sure you set it up with some sort of bank draft, and not do have somebody stop by the house to collect the premium. At this point in society, that is considered a little strange. I would hope you would agree. There are some people who still do it, but usually those agents have been around forever, and these policies have been around forever, so it's a little different occurrence. But if you have anybody start you off on a plan, or maybe you started a plan in the last several years, and somebody says, oh, I'll just collect the premium every month, that's a big red flag you should avoid. So, guys, you've been warned. Please be careful out there. And if you'd like to work with an honest company that cares about getting you great coverage, then call us up at buylifeinsuranceforburial.com at 888-626-0439. You can go to my website too, buylifeinsuranceforburial.com, and get a quote that way. Either way, call in, go to our website. Love to help you. And thanks for watching.